everybody. Welcome back to the Power Talk. I hope you're all doing great. It has been a while. I think my last episode came out in either October or January. I can't remember now. That's crazy. I'm mentioning it and I can't even remember when I last published an episode, but I do believe it was in January. I think I was talking to you guys about my collection of illustrated goods. And since then, a lot has happened. I shared about that a little bit the other day in my laundromat talk, Instagram stories. And here we are now, and I am finally ready to get back to this podcast. Actually, I had an episode planned and outlined and drafted last week, but the weekend came because I have a full-time job and it's crazy. So I don't really have the time or the energy to record during the week. But the weekend came and I was so excited about finally recording and getting back to publishing and using my voice, that throat chakra and all that. And then I had the worst spring allergies ever. I was struggling to speak. I was so congested. My voice was completely gone. I was coughing. I think I had a cold at the same time because I was not feeling well. So I could not do it last week. And then this weekend, I'm still struggling with allergies, as you can probably tell from my voice. And right now I have my tea right here. I have my water. I have my allergy medication. I have everything that is helping me, or not really helping me, but more or less helping me with making this allergy situation, a little better. When I was preparing for this episode's recording, I realized I did not really want to go with the subject that I had prepared for. And that's the joys of being a creative, a Pisces, someone with ADHD. When I say the joy, I'm being ironic because it's completely chaotic. But anyways, I decided that I was going to do things differently and I was going to pull tarot cards and then see, where that led us. Kind of let the tarot cards that I pull decide the direction in which we were going to take the episode. And if you know me, that's a little challenging for me because I'm more comfortable when I have everything planned out. But sometimes I just like to break out of the mold and or break free of the mold, whatever the expression is. English is not my native language, so yeah. Anyways, if you're wondering why tarot, in case you didn't know, when I decided to launch my own platform back in 2018, I originally got started doing tarot. My first book was about tarot, and that's kind of how I got started. And then, of course, I pivoted a lot of times. I went more towards empowerment, less towards spirituality, but I actually am a tarot practitioner. I'm a Reiki master. I'm a certified spiritual life coach. That's always a mouthful. And lately, I have been drawn to spirituality again. I'm going to have to plan an episode about how this happened in the past few months, because the past few months have been completely and absolutely crazy in a lot of life-changing ways. And I'm not really going to go over it that much in today's episode, but I will definitely sit down with you soon and talk to you about that. Also, this is the first episode where I'm recording audio and video at the same time. So this episode is going to make it on YouTube and definitely some shorts on my social media. So depending on where you're listening, you may be able to see me and my pets in the background probably. Or you may just be listening and probably hearing my pets in the background, my dog's being a weirdo, but that's nothing new. And the cats may play fight every now and then. But I'm going to give you a description of the tarot cards, at least tell you which ones I'm pulling as I read them. Okay, so I have this deck here that is very, very special. And the reason why I'm saying it's special is this is the first deck that I bought and that I actually um, started to use when I became really serious about tarot almost 10 years ago. I had a tarot deck in high school, but I didn't really connect with that one. But this deck, and it's old, it smells delicious, it smells like incense and just like almost like an old book, but like an old tarot deck smell. They need to make a candle. That needs to be a thing. That's a business idea. I'm calling it. But anyways, yeah, so this deck has been almost like a friend in a way. And I have not used it as much for professional readings for other people because I'm very particular about this deck and I like to kind of keep it clear of the energy of other people, although I did use it for a lot of people in the past that are no longer in my life, thank God. And so, yeah, but you can always cleanse items like that. There are so many ways to do it. So, anyways, before we get started, I'm talking about cleansing and tarot and all that. I have a very down to earth approach to spirituality. It's, you can have a little sprinkle of spirituality in your life, but at one point, like, we need to cut the bullshit, like, there's no need to pile it on all of it and then get burnt out or do things because you're feeling pressured to do it because you're not spiritual enough if you don't do them. And I'm probably going to have to record a different episode about the issues with the spiritual community at large and my own personal experiences, one of which was very recent with so-called spiritual people. So anyways, I'm just going to let you know I'm doing my thing. I'm spiritual. I like to utilize tools like tarot for spirituality, but I also believe in science and believe in facts. And I am not using those cards. I do not believe in using tarot to tell the future. I believe in using tarot as a tool for introspection and opportunities. All right, so we're going to get started. And again, I would like to mention that this is completely unscripted. I don't have any notes. I'm not looking at anything. I'm a little bit out of my comfort zone here, so bear with me. But I have a feeling this is going to take a really nice turn. So let's see. Let's get started. Let's start shuffling those cards. And by the way, if you enjoy this episode and if I enjoy this episode by the end, I might do a few more like that. So now let me give you the ASMR of my cards being shuffled. Here, let me do the thing with the nail where you're like, you know. I just like being silly. Life is not fun if you're not being silly, Like some people are way too stuck up. And that's not fun. Like, come on, life is too short for having a stick up your tushy, up your root chakra. Like, come on. All right, I feel like I am ready to pull the cards. I'm going to cut them with my left hand and put them back together in a different order. Actually, I'm going to put them back together like this. My approach to tarot is very much just like do whatever you want, like just do whatever you want. Okay, so wow, interesting. Our first card is Judgment. I still haven't decided if I'm going to pull 3 or 5 cards. I guess I'll decide that at card number 3. If I feel like the message is complete or if I feel like I need a couple more. Heck, I might even pull 6 cards. So let's see. Card number 2 is the Star. Card number 3 is the Emperor. Card number 4 is Death. Whoa. Interesting. See, I'm pulling more than 5 cards. And card number 5 Oh, I pulled two cards. I guess there's going to be six cards. Okay, card number 5 is the Popus. And card number 6 is the Chariot. So let's see. So I'm getting a lot of masculine energy here, a lot of powerful masculine cards. And masculine energy is yang energy, is Christina Yang energy for Grey's Anatomy fans. I'm just being silly. But it's very dominant energy, very action instead of observance. But at the same time, we do have two powerful. So we have six cards. We have, I want to say, three: Judgment, the Emperor, and the Chariot, that I consider to be masculine cards. The Star and the Popus, I consider them to be feminine cards. And Death is genderless. Death is just like, it's not even like a human card. It's just like more of a concept. Okay, let's see. So I feel like this is a powerful reading. The idea of judgment for me is, it always has, with tarot, everything has like multiple meanings, multiple levels, multiple significances, I guess. So with judgment, I feel like this card is telling us to trust in higher power or collective energy, or just trust in the unfolding of events that is going to happen in a way that is beneficial. And for me, I feel like this card is saying to trust that everything is going to be okay. That for those of us, I'm raising my hand, who are going through challenging transitions, through stressful transitions, totally raising my hand right now, it's important to be in the moment and trust that everything is happening in your favor. And know that as long as you're doing your part, God or the universe or spirit or whatever you believe in is supporting you. But you have to meet the universe halfway. The universe is not going to do all the work for you. You got to do it. You got to do your part. Let God take care of the rest. So that's what I feel like the judgment card is telling us to do. We're going to get back to it if I feel like, oh, I forgot to mention this one thing. Um, Actually, was this sort of like, there you go. I did forget to say something. Was this very like, kind of like stern card? Like, it's not like, woo card. It's a very like, I feel like this card is talking about like protecting yourself. That's what I'm getting. Setting boundaries, protecting yourself, being firm if you need to be, protecting and respecting whatever you are working so hard to achieve or accomplish, manifest, create, any of those. All right, now with the star, I feel like this card is telling us to not lose hope. It's kind of like a celestial card, just like judgment is. And if you don't have the judgment card in your mind, you can't look it up. If you're listening to this while driving or whatever, you can't really look it up. um, Judgment is often represented by an angel blowing a trumpet from above and raising people from their graves. And there's a lot of mystical symbolism in the tarot. It's absolutely fascinating. I actually wrote a book on the subject back in 2020. And I do plan to republish that book, maybe switch up the cover a little bit because these are no longer my brand colors or my aesthetic or anything. But the book itself does contain a lot of very relevant information about the symbolism behind tarot cards. So I'm definitely going to link it and I recommend that you check it out. But back to the stars, we have two consecutive celestial cards with the angel from heaven looking down from heaven in judgment, and the star, which is, a star, celestial, it's the sky, And the star, again, feminine energy, gentleness, healing, hope, definitely hope. I always feel like the star is telling me to have hope when I pull her in a reading, especially when it's a reading that really has this sort of like harsh masculine energy and some scary cards. Thank God there is no tower in here, because we've had too many tower moments where we don't need this shit. We're good. Even though tower moments can be great sometimes, we don't need them. Okay, I had to stop for a moment for a water break. But what I was saying is the star really does represent hope and healing with the water element. It's a woman standing on the edge of a body of water at nighttime with a lot of stars in the sky, including one big star. And the woman is pouring water back into that body of water, whether it's a river or an ocean. I like to think it's an ocean because I love oceans. That's my element. But, anyways, and for those of you looking on YouTube or watching on YouTube, sorry, here it is. And I forgot to show you the judgment card before, so here you go. But, anyways, back to the star. To me, she is a reminder to express gratitude for the things that we have so we can better manifest the things that we want. So I feel like the star is a hopeful reminder of that. And then we have the Emperor, and the Emperor is really, here you go, you can see him if you're watching the video. The Emperor is somebody who's kind of annoying sometimes, because to me he represents male privilege and how certain dudes just take their power for granted and they didn't even have to work for it as hard as we women had to. But I try to not look at it as literally and not project my own experiences and biases on that card, but I try to learn from it. And what is the attitude that we can adopt from this card? As my partner says, it's the card that represents big dick energy. And I think this is metaphorical, of course, at least for me. But it's this energy of like not making excuses, not apologizing for who you are, and not apologizing for being where you are or for wanting to be where you want to be, not apologizing for what you want and what you're working for. And if you want something better in your life, be it a job, a career, a partner, a home, anything, don't apologize for having that desire. And if you have accomplished it, don't apologize for it. It's okay to acknowledge what you have worked hard for, and don't like take it for granted, but also, in a sense, almost like taking it for granted. Like, it's like telling yourself, yeah, I believe that I was capable of doing that. It wasn't luck, it wasn't privilege, it was me, And I think it's important to have this attitude especially when we're having like a small self-confidence crisis, which is something that I have been going through recently. So, yeah. Now we're going to move on to the fourth card, which is death. And it's funny that it's the fourth card in today's reading, because every tarot card has a number, and the number of death is 13, which, if you add it down, 1 plus 3 equals 4. So it's associated with number 4 in tarot, which also is the number of the Emperor. So there is a direct connection between death and the Emperor. And we can explore that later, but I am getting the sense from death, which is usually a spectral figure, the Grim Reaper, surrounded by white butterflies, a swarm of beautiful white butterflies. And sometimes in more traditional decks than the one that I'm using, It's actually a figure that's advancing on a horse and that is not stopping despite other smaller figures kind of begging it to stop. And what the death tarot card represents is not the physical death of somebody, um, of yourself or somebody that you care about, but it's actually transformation. And when I was learning tarot, I was afraid of the death card, especially because of its meaning in popular culture. But I have since then learned to accept that it's actually about personal transformation. And sometimes it can be a transformation that we fear, moving on to a new stage of our lives, whether it's in our career, personal lives, love, whatever, all the different aspects of our lives. That can be scary, but it's also very beneficial. And in the case of death, sometimes it's a necessary transformation. You know, it's essential for this to happen. And it's a transformation that you cannot avoid. I feel like there is a connection between death and the judgment card because the judgment is about trusting any sort of supportive energy that is in your corner. And for most of us, you know, if we're watching tarot readings, we kind of believe in some kind of spiritual energy supporting us. But, anyways, I'm not going to go into personal beliefs right now. But I feel like combined with judgment, this sort of configuration is telling us to trust that transformation is happening for the best. And as always with tarot, for me, it's 100 million% on point. And I hope that it is for you. All right, now let's move on to card number 5, which is the Popus. The Popus is a wise looking woman who is typically seen holding a book. She's also known as the High Priestess, depending on what deck you have. And by the way, the deck that I am using right now is the medieval tarot, the medieval cat deck. Um, I was in a metaphysical store when I bought it, and it was a long time ago, but that was the deck that had really resonated with me. And it's my best buddy deck. It's my favorite deck. It's my personal deck. As I said, I rarely use it for readings involving other people, but today I felt really inspired to do that. So there you go. I'll link it in the description so that if you guys want to get a similar one, you can. Anyways, with the Popus, what we have is the idea of continuously learning and continuously tapping into spiritual and intellectual wisdom that is available to us. And it's funny because for me, especially with this retrograde that is impacting my communication, because last week it completely prevented me from using my voice to communicate with you via this podcast. And this week, and I'm having so many like tech troubles, internet connection. Um, my phone is overheating all of the sudden, and I never had this problem before. And I'm just going with it because these are the troubles that I'm okay with. It's the bigger troubles that, um, in a Mercury retrograde, that involve relationships and things like that, that I really don't want to be dealing with. But and this year started with a retrograde, and that was definitely an interesting period. So I'll tell you more about it some other time. But anyways, the Popus is really telling us to reconnect with what makes us feel whole. And for me, for the longest time, spirituality helped me. Spirituality was the fertilizer for me to move forward with my life and even get myself out of a very bad abusive situation. If you know my background, I come from an abusive family environment. I have a narcissistic mother who really, really, really caused a lot of destruction in my life. And it took me a lot to be able to do some damage control and slowly rebuild my life. Everything that I have right now, 5 years ago, I did not have it. 5 years ago, I had less than nothing. So it took me a long time to rebuild myself and take my power back from this person and all the people who enabled her. And a lot of the time, all I had was a spiritual connection. That was my light at the end of the tunnel, my very faint light. And I will definitely, I'm making a mental note to tell that story, to tell how a spiritual belief, no matter how abstract, helped me and helped me propel myself. I wouldn't say like something came down and saved me. It's more like my own belief, fueled by this belief in something bigger. My own intentions got me, kept me going. It's so hard to explain. It's simple, but it's at the same time, it's so hard to explain. Something gave me faith, something that even when I felt alone in the entire world, I had nobody in my corner, I had lost so many friends, my family members were never on my side. I was, I felt like there was something supporting me. And I don't like to say God or anything like that because I'm not a religious person. I was raised in Christianity. I don't consider myself Christian anymore. That's also another different story. But something really supported me and got me out and helped me find hope when things looked really bleak and hopeless. And that's what got me into spirituality. That's what got me into wanting to share it. And that's how I realized that spirituality could be a tool for empowerment. And in the past couple of years, yes, I stopped feeling so intense about spirituality, though I still had my practices and all that. I wasn't as consistent as I may have been before. But lately, and I may have had some moments of disillusionment, a little bit of burnout from my day job and from everything that I'm juggling all at once. But lately, especially since this retrograde and this eclipse that happened last week, I have been feeling more and more reconnected to some spiritual beliefs that I held very, very strongly in the past. I am reconnecting to manifestation. I am reconnecting to tarot, and this is why I am doing this reading right now. This is why I felt inspired to do that, and I went with my gut instead of saying, "Oh no, Sophie, you're not going to do tarot. Like, come on, you don't need to do that. Um, that's going to be so off-brand. You haven't done it in so long. Like, that doesn't make sense." I just went with my gut. I just went with my intuition instead of going with, what I felt like would make sense, but not really. Because sometimes what makes sense the most is what doesn't make sense. That is the most Pisces thing I've ever said. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm a Pisces and I'm proud. So, anyways, reconnecting with spirituality, that's the meaning of the Popist. Now, let's move on to our final card, the Chariot. Okay, so let me show it to you. You have a guy who is standing on an old-fashioned chariot. So that's like a little vehicle with wheels that's being pulled by horses. And typically these horses are black and white and there's a city in the background, not on this deck, but on more traditional decks. That's what the design looks like. And the Chariot, I love this card because it's always a reminder to balance your energies. Balance those energies and don't carry extra baggage. As you're going on your journey, you want the horses to both be going into the same direction. And sometimes the design on this card represents two horses going into separate directions. And when you have two horses going into separate directions, you're not gonna go anywhere because that energy is being wasted. So what the Chariot card tells you is no matter what your goal is or what you're progressing through as you move through life, make sure that you are doing it and that you are living it and witnessing it from a place of alignment. And get rid of what does not serve you. Whatever extra baggage you are carrying, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, even if that, or energetic, even if that baggage is really like negative thoughts or thoughts that are not really, intrusive thoughts. That's the word I was looking for, intrusive thoughts. It's important to process them and release them. I like to do that through journaling and therapy. My therapist, bless her beautiful soul, is a lifesaver. Or just speaking to someone that you trust, that you know is not going to judge you. All right, so I lost my train of thoughts because my partner just called me. I put my phone, my devices on do not disturb when I'm recording, but I always make sure that my partner can reach me. So, anyways, back to the chariot, back to processing intrusive thoughts. That's where we were at. I think that this is really important because a lot of times it's those intrusive thoughts that really stop us from moving forward, especially when, if you're like me, you may be obsessing over things that you don't really need to obsess about, but that's like how your brain functions, especially when things are going well. Like when things are going well, I tend to look for the first thing or the only thing that may remotely, very, very unlikely go wrong. And I start obsessing over that. And I'm trying really, really hard to not do this anymore. It takes a lot of work on yourself. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of, uh, it takes so much energy to not do this shit. But like at the same time, it's important to do that work because it can be really draining and that can really prevent you from enjoying yourself and enjoying what really matters to you, enjoying the life that you have worked so hard to build and that you are continuing to build for yourself. So there we have it. I feel like today's episode was unusual in the sense that I'm not reading off an outline. I'm not presenting 5 tips to do something related to a specific subject. But this was enjoyable, and I hope that you did enjoy it. I feel like sometimes just to break the monotony and get back into the routine of doing something, in my case, podcasting, it's important to just like I just said, break the monotony and think outside the box and do something different. I don't know you, but this was fun. I really enjoyed doing this reading. I think in the future, I might maybe pull like one card or something. Again, I am still figuring out the details and figuring out how to reintegrate spirituality in both my personal life and in the platform that I am currently building. And so I would love your feedback. Please let me know what you think in the comments, or if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, leave a review, leave a 5-star rating. Like the star, leave 5 of those babies. Those always, always help. I think this is it for now. I do intend to be more consistent with my content creation. I don't want to sabotage myself anymore. I don't want to wait anymore for things to be right for me to move forward with this dream of working for myself, of having a platform, of having a brand, of being a creator that I really, really want to make come true. I don't want to wait and waste time anymore. I want to make it happen no matter the circumstances. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you made it here, leave a comment. Let's say, leave something in the comment so that I know that you made it. There's one YouTuber that does that, and she's so smooth about it. Picks the most inspiring sentences. Here, leave blue and white teacup. I love this teacup. It's actually part of an infuser. It has like a built-in infuser. I don't have it here because I'm using bags, but it has an infuser and a lid and a little, see all that ASMR noise, and a little plate. And it's great for loose leaf tea, but it's also super cute. I'm slightly obsessed with blue and white porcelain. So yeah, that was so random and off script, but there's no scripts. That's what happens. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. I was looking at my stats and I saw that there are people listening from Taiwan and so many other countries. And that always makes me really happy to see the reach of this podcast. So thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Seeing you again next week. There you go. That's a commitment. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.